Hey there, I'm Lee Rowley, and this is Lee After Dark. Why? Because there's more to being a business leader than just business. Each episode, one brave entrepreneur ejects the elevator pitch and just gets real. Today, I'd like to welcome John Klymshyn. John, how are you today?
Doing well, Lee. Thanks for inviting me to come and share some stories and impromptu conversation.
Awesome. Well, we're delighted to have you. Now, the rules are simple. For the next 20 minutes, we can talk about anything you want but your business.
Okay.
After that, you've got 5 minutes to pitch up a storm. Yeah. If you do mention your business during the 20 minutes, though, you'll lose 1 minute of pitch time per infraction. So we're gonna keep you honest here.
Understand.
Yeah.
Got to set the boundaries.
That's right. You ready to play?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Right on. Let's set the timer to keep us honest. And what are we getting into for the next 20 minutes?
Well, it's an interesting time of year.
Yes.
Of course, we always want to have podcasts as evergreen material where people will draw wisdom and insight and maybe even some entertainment from them around the year. But you and I are recording this 3 weeks before a very significant holiday. And I love the sense of momentum that I feel just within the family, of anticipation of a big day, anticipation of a stress-free gathering of people from points distant. And I'm feeling really good. I think that we're in a really interesting time in history, and I view that through a very optimistic lens. You hear people saying this is under attack, this is under attack, this is a problem, that's an issue, and all of that is true. And you know what? The major ways of thinking and going about life have been under attack since the dawn of man. And I think that the question for us is, you've got today. If you put 2 feet on the floor this morning, you have an advantage, and the advantage is that everything is still working. So what's the most positive thing you can do? What's the greatest investment of your time? And to think a couple of weeks down the road, I'm going to have my son and his now 6 month into the relationship wife here for Christmas. The beautiful thing. My daughter and her fiance, who are getting married in about 9 months. Just the ability to disconnect and calm down and get away from screens for 36 to 48 hours. I'm really looking forward to that.
Awesome. Well, I love that you use the word momentum because for a lot of people, it's almost dread, because they focus on the stressful aspects of the holiday. I have to get this done. This has to be perfect. That has to be ready. I have to be everywhere. I have to be seen as capable of handling this. And so you use the word momentum rather than a negative term, such as dread or just a general.
Right, because Louis Anderson, famous comedian, he had a great line. He said that he just went under a complete stress test. He invited the entire family over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people feel that way, obviously.
They do. And the old joke is, how do you know when it's when a perfectly fine family holiday is at its end? You hear someone in the back of the house say, "Now, what's that supposed to mean?" As soon as you hear that, get everybody in the car. It's time to go.
That's right.
Yeah. So, momentum, I think, is a great thing, and it is in life and in other things, other endeavors, like in music, which is a huge part of my life. To me, every day we have a choice as to what we're going to focus our attention and our energies on. And to me, once you find something that you're passionate about, pursuing that, learning about that, investing in that every single day, it's like a penny a penny investment in the joy piggy bank. I've said many times to other people, and I don't know who I should attribute this to. It could come from ancient wisdom. It could come from Chris Rock. I have no idea. But the phrase "comparison is the thief of joy." I just recently had a milestone birthday, and you get a little nervous as you age, that you may have more days behind you than ahead of you. And that's a sobering thought. And it's like, okay, so, what do I want to do that will bring me joy? And, is it spending time with the family at the holidays? Is it pursuing a hobby, a passion, an avocation? Every single day we have the opportunity to make choices. And I feel good that while I have made innumerable mistakes, and I have had deep and reverberating disappointments in my life, none of them got in the way of me making the choice to be optimistic, to be positive. They set me back a little bit. Absolutely. I think that there's a concept known as the dark night of the soul, where we're pacing the floor in the living room at 2:00 in the morning and we're not really sure why. And I think that those moments are important. I think that the soul searching and really thinking about who we want to spend time with, what we want to do with this precious unrenewable resource called time, and what is going to give us joy. Number one, comparing ourselves to anyone else is not going to feed or fuel that. I believe in aspiring. I believe in, okay, that's someone that I admire, respect, would like to be similar to, is healthy. I still want to blaze my own path. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. And I like that you use the term dark night of the soul. It's something that you kind of beat me to the punch here, because usually when people are talking, telling me as you're telling me, then I'm coming back and saying, okay, well, why does this all matter so much to you? And you've encapsulated it as in that dark night of the soul concept, and I really dig that. So, if you're open to it, tell me about that. I mean, like, what is this pivot point that made you say, look, I've got to share this message?
I think it was an intersection of a couple of different things.
Okay.
And I find that where you find intersections is where you find the opportunity to grow as a person, and to also make some kind of mark or contribution.
Mm-hmm.
When I was raising both of my children, they're both, you and I were talking before the recording started, I have two functioning humans out in the world with my name on them that are contributing. And I told them the whole time that they were growing up, listen, you need to be careful how you act out in the world, because you have my name on your back. So you are, in a way, you're a representative of this family. So I told my kids throughout the entire time growing up, and if you were to call them or text them now with the beginning of this statement, they would know the end of it, because they had heard it innumerable times, which is what my role is as a father. And I told them, my role as your father is not to give you everything you want, because I won't. It's not to make you happy, because I can't. My role as your father is to make you a productive person of character. If we can put more people that are productive people of character out in the world, we're going to have a better world. So what made me more optimistic? Well, I've been a musician since I was 9 years old. Every time I turn around, and sadly, to my wife's view of our pocketbook, every time I turn around, there's another instrument that I need to acquire. So I started with a relatively inexpensive guitar. Fortunately, I was loaned a guitar, and I did my first 3 months playing that. And when I decided, yes, I'm going to go through the pain, the discomfort, the investment of time to actually get to the next level of ability and facility, that's when I invested in a guitar. And then 2 years later, someone made one for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So the intersections were, as a parent, as a husband, as someone who wanted to contribute to the world. I followed the Teddy Roosevelt philosophy. You want to make the world a better place? Make your neighborhood a better neighborhood. Once you make your neighborhood a better neighborhood, you can make your town a better town. And you can go from there to the counties, and from there to the cities, and from there and on and on and on. My Irish grandfather used to say, we take it to the counties, which is, march it out there. Everyone is watching what you're doing. Everyone is going to be tempted to comment on what you're doing. What would you like them to say? That you're pleasant to be around, that you have an optimistic viewpoint, that you emanate positive energy, or that you're down in the mouth and you're dour and you're as my brother-in-law says, some people, you just feel like they suck the life right out of you.
For sure.
And so music, writing, being a ham, as the third of three boys in a family with four kids, and the last child behind me was a girl. I had to somehow get attention. And it was a fascination with performance, a fascination with music, a fascination with writing, and the true, lasting and immeasurable power of this gift that we've been given called language. Yeah,
incredible. It really is. It's a way to translate what is going on in a completely different world, which is the world between here and here.
Yeah, man.
And to have it make sense over there, it's still astounding. And I guess I always kind of pictured growing up that language was just kind of invented somehow. But then when I think about how many thousands or tens of thousands of years it would have taken for us to even be able to perfect the concept of communicating through language, that had to be an incredibly slow process.
Well, and I'm convinced that language came as a result of music. I believe that language, every language on the planet at its core is music. Because if you think about it, Lee, our tone of voice, our phrasing, whether or not what we say resonates, those are all musical terms, right? Tempo,
it really is.
Tone, rhythm, they're all musical. And the first musical instrument on the planet was the human voice.
Very true. Very true.
A lot of people think it's the drum. And I started playing music, I started as a drummer. And I demonstrated kind of a facility for it, maybe a talent, I hope. And my music teacher between 5th and 6th grade took me from the snare drum to timpanis, which are tuned, to marimba and xylophone, which are the full piano scale. And then the next thing I know, I'm bringing home a horn. I played a baritone horn before I got into junior high school. So I was reading music and I was, absorbing all this. I mean, a young mind like that, 9, 10, 11 years old, to be introduced to this world where no matter who you know, no matter who you meet, if they can read music, you can communicate with them. Because you can put a piece of music in front of the two of you, and there's what an old former collaborator of mine by the name of Michael Lynn, is a phenomenal guitar player. He said, music is the invisible art form. And I thought that is brilliant, man. Because you don't see music on the guitar. You hear it when it's played.
That is true. See, we have these mind-blowing moments. This is why we do this, by the way, because I don't have to do any. I just sit back and let you guys be brilliant, and you make these wonderful episodes. So thank you. That was quite an astute observation. I love that.
Thanks, man.
Absolutely.
I and your other guests, I'm sure we appreciate I know I do. I appreciate the platform. I was speaking with my wife before you and I started recording, and I said, I was under the impression that it's about stories. And my God, at my age and with my level of experience, I've got some stories. And it's refreshing to start by not talking about, okay, so what do you do and who's your customer and blah, blah,
Yeah. Yes. Why would the heck? Who wants to hear about that when we can hear about guacamole recipes? You listed it. Let's talk.
Okay.
All right. Tell me about what's your thing with guacamole.
I say that so just so people understand. Lee prepares very well for these interviews, and he said, give me a couple of things that you'd like to talk about, and let me know if there's any specific question you want me to ask.
Sure.
Being originally from New York and about full up to here with the ability to be sarcastic, saying this to people probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I said, we can talk about this or guacamole recipes. And what it does is it changes the dynamic, right? It throws a flam in at the end of the drum roll. the whole idea of saying, so, as far as I'm concerned, we can talk about guacamole recipes. What that does is it triggers things in people's minds that I believe, because it's, hopefully, if people find it funny, every time we laugh, we release endorphins. When we release endorphins, we feel better. We've seen all these studies about cancer patients and these people with terminal illnesses. They turn around because they sit and they watch funny movies for 4 hours a day. If I can inject or leverage humor, what it does is it makes me appear more human. And when we can cut right to the chase and connect on that level, then you and I are going to have a much more interesting conversation, because I take what I do very seriously. I prepare for it. I study it. I'm constantly looking to be better at it, no matter what it is, whether it's music or parenting or my business. But I don't take myself too seriously. Yes. Because I'm human, I'm flawed, and as I said, I've made innumerable mistakes. The joke is I learned most of what I know based on trial and multiple error.
Yes, absolutely. It's the error that I think makes people interesting. It's that process. I find what people have learned along the way as fascinating as what they've created as an end product. But you mentioned endorphins. I had to throw this in there. You know what else creates endorphins? Surachia. You know what else is good on guacamole? Surachia.
If it makes you happy, and if you get paid to brand it, then I think that's a brilliant idea.
I don't know if they'll pay me for it or not, but there's cat. Okay.
Who's this?
This is my water buffalo. Excuse me. All right.
What's his name?
Mr. McFourpaws.
I see.
Making his little debut, and of course he's thrilled about it.
You will not believe it. He looks just like my cat. I have a black Bombay cat named Harvey, who also has about 11 other names, like Mr. Furry Butt and Pure Le Cat Noir. That's what I call him the most.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. So okay, so we're not. Well, I take it you're not down with the sriracha and the guacamole, but
I love guacamole. Sriracha is it's too intense for me.
Okay.
I'll eat salsa, but sriracha, it's just it is convinced of its own value, and I love that.
I could not think of a better way to put that. If I have tried for a million years, that is absolutely convinced of its own value. I like that.
Let's get them on the phone. Let's get you doing some copy branding for them.
Ooh, okay. Sriracha, convinced of its own value. I think we got a campaign there. So I will cut in your half. I promise. I'm a man of my word. I really am.
That's cool.
So, but you've got like 2 minutes left here. So okay. Any stories or thoughts that you'd like to share before we get into the business end of things?
Well, stories. To me, the greatest investment we can make is giving other people our undivided attention. I'm a reader, so when I have the time to read, I focus on that. I think that we're in a world that is wildly distracted and too often interrupted. And if we can create space in our lives to have focused time on anything, on our spouse, our friends, our family, our kids, our cat, uninterrupted, focused time, our blood pressure goes down, our mind becomes more clear. And look, I text both of my kids, I text my wife, even when she's down the hall. There has to be, I believe, we have to find time to have uninterrupted focus on something else besides ourselves. Whether we read, whether we listen to music, whether we, have deep conversations with other friends. I think that's one of the best investments of time, because as I said earlier, you're not getting today back. There are no do-overs. So
that's really cool.
Today.
Yep. That's really cool. And focusing on something other than yourself is a huge thing, and it's something that I've been exploring. In fact, the Sanskrit nirvana, to blow out, to also means to extinguish, and that is what they're referring to when they say nirvana, is to blow out, to forget oneself.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
so
I
say
learned.
so saith Alan Watts and some other people that may or may have not have been drunks, but uh, that's neither here nor there.
May or may not have been drunks. What a
Yeah.
great, that should be on their Wikipedia page. This person may or may not have been a drunk. That's fantastic.
Well, I've been a drunk too, but I got better. So they're not bad people. But anywho,
No.
wow, that went nowhere. You have successfully completed the 20-minute Lee After Dark Not Talking About Your Business challenge.
Okay.
Invisible confetti and everything. Being a man of my word, I want to give you 5 minutes to talk about what you do, your business, how people can get in touch with you, your love of guacamole, whatever.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Absolutely love guacamole. I like it with red onions and just a little bit of lemon sauce. I think lemon juice. I think that's the healthy way to go about it.
Yeah.
If you want to add some other things, that's great. I don't like it overly chunky because sometimes it'll break the chip, and then you'll look away from the football game and you'll miss the only play that made any sense throughout the 4.5 hour pain of watching the NFL. I couldn't believe it. 2 Monday nights ago, 3.5 hours to play a 60-minute game. I just don't get it, but I'm not in charge, and they haven't contacted me to figure out how to rectify that.
Yeah.
All right, so guacamole recipes aside, what I do is I work with business leaders to craft and deliver inspiring language for their people, to their people, with their people, to help their people grow and their business scale. My passion is what I've been talking about for the last 20 minutes. How do you focus on someone else so that you can make the time that they invest in you worthwhile? How can you craft language that resonates with people? Because when we say something that resonates, it stays with people. And that again, the older I get, the more meaningful that is to me, because I started my journey in music by playing the drums. You take a stick, you hit a skin, and it reverberates, and you feel it. And it being the invisible art form, language is music. So how do we every day? How do we improve our facility, our understanding of what's coming out of our mouth, so that it's making other people's lives better? And that is it's at times it's been a deep struggle, a dark night of the soul. Sometimes those dark nights of the soul have lasted months, where I've had the thing that I crave the most taken away from me, which is to help other people. And I've just recently gotten through a rough time like that. I've been self-employed for 20 years, and there are no guarantees, there are no promises, and nobody owes you a thing. So how can I invest my passion, my energy, my knowledge, my ability to shape up how other people think about this? And as we just started our conversation, I'm feeling some momentum, so that that kind of gives me more faith and confidence and that sort of thing. I have on the back of my business card, Lee, I have 10 daily aspirations. And anyone that is watching this and listening to your podcast, if they would like me to mail them a copy of this, or even email it to them, I'd rather mail it because I'll write a personal note. But anyone that wants to see it or receive it in the mail, if they email me at John, John, at Klymshyn, KLYMSHYN.com. If they email me in the subject line Lee After Dark, I will send them a personal note. I'll send them 3 copies of my business card with a yellow Post-it on it that says, keep 1, give 2 away. And these 10 aspirations, I've been giving this business card away for about 11 years. And I never go a month without someone saying, you know what, I found your business card the other day. I forgot I even had it, and I love these aspirations. Or I was speaking with someone, a brand new client yesterday, who I put one in the mail to when she signed on with me, and she said, I love this. I put this on my computer and I read it all day. So if your audience, your listeners, watchers, fans, followers, whatever, if they'd like to get that, I'm happy to provide that for them either through email or through the mail.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We'll put that in the show notes as well so that people can go ahead and get a hold of that. And otherwise, we'll have, I think you sent over your website, Klymshyn.com,
Yep.
right? And then you're active on LinkedIn and some other platforms too. So we'll have all that contact information so other people can get in touch with you and find out more. Any parting words?
Ask more questions.
I like those words.
When we ask questions, we open our mind to learning, and everybody wants some sense of feeling powerful. And I have learned over the years that questions freely distribute power. That if I want to feel powerful, it's not about me forcing myself or forcing my ideas on someone else. It's about me being centered and authentic. And when I ask questions, I immediately invite the other person to collaborate with me.
Nice. That's really cool. And I really am on board with that, as I'm sure you know, and love the work that you're doing. It's absolutely fascinating and super powerful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much for joining me today. We are out of time, but if you found Lee After Dark more entertaining and relevant than most of the dreck out there, subscribe to the Lee After Dark YouTube channel. And now get Lee After Dark in your pants. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor FM, Stitcher, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and who the heck knows where else. So you can enjoy us wherever you stick your phone. Until next time, this is Lee Rowley with my new friend, John Klymshyn. Be present and be well.